loves. Okay. One of my subscribers asked me to do a video on my favorite drugstore and my favorite high-end face products. So I'm going to walk you through face products and tell you of the primers, for example, which is my favorite drugstore, which is my favorite high-end. Woo! All right, we're going to do it for all face products. So we'll go through primers to setting sprays. So if you would like to see what my favorite drugstore options are and my favorite high-end options are, then just keep watching. So let's start with a oil control sort of pore filling primer. So for the drugstore option, my favorite is NYX Angel Veil. In my opinion, this was a 2017 Holy Grail. It is one of my favorite oil control primers out there. It is really spectacular. It's not as good as the higher end one to fill your pores, but as far as oil control, making your makeup last, the Angel Veil is better. Now, my favorite high-end version, and it's a different type of primer, but this is the primer that I go for from the high-end collection when I want the same thing. I want to fill my pores. I want to control my oil. I want my makeup to last all day. I go for the Tarte Clean Slate Timeless Smoothing Primer. So this is my Oily Girl primer for drugstore, my Oily Girl primer for high-end. If I had to choose between the two, Tarte definitely wins because it creates a near perfect base. But if you don't want to spend the Tarte money, the NYX Angel Veil is a great alternative. Now when I want to illuminate and glow and look like, you know, I drank all my water yesterday, I go for the NYX Born to Glow. The Born to Glow Illuminating Primer just gives your skin a healthy boost. I love this primer because it gives you a glow while also giving you, I don't know if you can see it on camera, while also giving you just this great moisturized base for your foundation. Now, the high-end version of that is the Dr. Brandt Luminizer Primer. When I want to glow, this is the primer that I go for. And I have a lot of primers in my battleship or my battle case over there. So when I want, I made a mess. I don't know how I did that. So when I want a primer to illuminate my skin, I pull for the NYX Born to Glow or the Dr. Brandt Luminizer Primer. Which do I think is the best of the two? The NYX Born to Glow. This was also one of my 2017 Holy Grails. It is a fabulous primer to lay down that glow base, but they're about equivalent. The only reason that I have another one of these is because it came in a boxy charm several months back. But if I were to go to Ulta, I would always choose this one over this one. Okay, so now we got to put our foundation on. I'm out of my favorite drugstore foundation, but it is the MILANI Conceal and Perfect. Hands down, best foundation out of the drugstore in my opinion. It covers everything. I've used it for years, even before it was all the rage on YouTube. My favorite high-end foundation is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Foundation. This is the only foundation I've ever used that does not settle into my fine lines. It still lasts all day. This is my holy grail foundation at this point. So, of the two, which do I prefer? I can't pick one over the other. I grab for the MILANI when I want to really cover my skin. When I want a lot of coverage, I want to beat that face, I pull for that. When I want a little less coverage, I pull for this one. But those are definitely my holy grail drugstore, my holy grail high end. Okay, now we got to conceal those under eyes. Y'all might be a little shocked at this. My new favorite drugstore, because my previous favorite drugstore was not cruelty free, so I had to find another one, is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define. This is my absolute favorite cruelty free. There's a better option out there, but she ain't cruelty free. This is my favorite cruelty free drugstore concealer, and it is a dupe for the Shape Tape, so she's good. Now when I want a high-end concealer, do I reach for Shape Tape anymore? I don't. My new favorite high-end concealer is the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion. This doesn't give you quite the coverage that the Shape Tape does, but it is beautiful on the skin. It does not cake in the least. It does not look heavy. It conceals without that heaviness. Sometimes with the Shape Tape, at the end of the day, I would still have heavy under eye coverage, but my face makeup had faded a little bit, so it looked a little wonky. But with this, I don't have to worry about that. So, drugstore is Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define. High-end is Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion. Which do I prefer? It's like the foundations. You can't, if I want the coverage, I pull for this one. So typically, if I'm wearing the MILANI Conceal and Perfect Foundation, I'm wearing this concealer. If I am wearing my Magic Foundation, I'm wearing this concealer. So it just gives me a little different look. Okay, now we got to set that concealer and that foundation. So when I'm looking for a drugstore setting powder, there is only one. There is only one. I have used this powder since the beginning of my makeup days back in 1992. She has not changed. She has not evolved because she has not needed to. That is the Coty Airspun. And I found it so hilarious a couple of months ago or a year ago or so when TARTE started reviewing the Coty Airspun and people started going crazy over Coty Airspun. And I'm like, where y'all been? Like, she was a translucent setting powder before people knew what translucent setting powder was. This is by far the best, and it's the only translucent setting powder from the drugstore that I'll use. I actually don't use drugstore powders because I don't like them. I've yet to find one that I like at the drugstore. I hate to say it, but it's true, except for the Coty Airspun. Now, when I want a higher end, which is my favorite, there's so many good ones. There's so many good ones. I've recently fell in love with the Becca Hydro Blur. That one is just, whew. But when I was looking at them for this video, I was like, what is your holy grail of the high end? If you could only pick one powder out of Sephora or Ulta, which would you choose? I went with the Too Faced Peach Perfect. I love the way this makes my face look. It mattifies it without making it feel dry. It lasts all day. It's so finely milled. I can use this under my eyes, all over my face. I can bake with it. It's perfect. So, if I could only choose one, oh, I don't know. They're equally good. I always have this. I always use this. I do not run out of this. And I've used it for 30 years, give or take. I do think this one gives just a little extra coverage, maybe. It blurs my imperfections just a little bit more. But Coty Airspun, honest to goodness, guys, you don't need the Too Faced Peach Perfect. You don't need the Laura Mercier setting powder. You don't need those. You can just use the Coty Airspun. It works as good as any high-end brand. Now we have to set the face. And I'm going to be honest with you, this was a hard one for me. Because I've kind of started using more hydrating mists and not setting sprays. I kind of quit using setting sprays. So I'm going to give you 3 options for this one. Okay? Okay? So my favorite drugstore setting spray is the MILANI Make It Last. You spray this on your makeup and she ain't going anywhere. She's locked and loaded. Like, boom. The downfall of this one is it does have a high alcohol content. So it's going to potentially dry your skin out. So I would use sparingly, only on the days that, you know, you got like a 12-hour event. I wouldn't use it, oh, I'm just going out to dinner with my boo thing. I would not use this one. But for a drugstore setting spray, this is my favorite. Now, for a high-end setting spray, I'm going to be real with you. My high-end choice, compared ounce to ounce, is actually cheaper than the MILANI Make It Last. But my high-end choice is the OFRA Makeup Fixer. So you get 8 ounces in this versus the 2 ounces. So that's a big difference. This girl's lasted me forever, and she ain't expensive. She ain't expensive. But this one almost does it's almost like the MAC Fix Plus. It sets your makeup. You can spray the brushes with it. This one I always tend to, sometimes I pull for it to wet my brushes for my eyeshadow, but because of the alcohol, I try not to. Actually, I don't even know how much alcohol is in this one. So the number 1 ingredient is water. Number 2 is aloe. I mean, we got chamomile flower. Does this even have alcohol? I don't think this even has alcohol, but my ingredients is scratched off a little bit, so maybe I'm just not seeing it. But this one is my favorite high-end, but as I said, ounce for ounce, this one is actually cheaper than most that you would get in the drugstore. Now, my third option is going to be the Pure Miracle Mist. This is hydrating. This is a hydrating spray. This isn't necessarily a setting spray, although they say you can set your makeup with it. But I have been going for hydrating mists over setting sprays because I need that hydration. I need that moisture. So all three of these are, all three of these are good options. It just depends on what you want. This is going to be your most expensive one in the lot. So, you know, I just want to give the hydrating option for you. This one is really cheap. This one, you get the most bang for your buck, and in my opinion, is probably the best if you want that makeup to last all day long. So, there you have it. I gave you a drugstore option and a high-end option and let you know which was the best of the two. I hope that fulfilled the video request. I can't remember which subscriber asked for it, but there you have it. Until next time, my loves.